Hi everyone, Grace Harmon here with Robin Washut as Nebraska is getting set to take on Michigan at 6 p.m. here at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Now Michigan is on a 4-game losing streak, desperately in need of a win. The Huskers are also pretty desperate in need of a win as they just are coming off a 3-point, really close loss to Rutgers. Now Robin, there's a lot going on with this team right now, just mentally and emotionally after the tragic death of Kobe Bryant on Sunday. What do you see from this team? What are they going to have to do to overcome that and just really get past that?
Yeah, I mean, the impact of that really can't be understated. And, if you watch some of the other videos that we put up here, listen to Fred Hoiberg and Hanif Cheatham just kind of talk about what Kobe Bryant not only meant as a basketball player, but as like a life role model to an entire generation of players. Basically, any player that's playing college basketball right now modeled themselves in some way after Kobe Bryant. And when that news hit, it shook them, and it shook basically the entire country, but especially the basketball community. And so, Hanif Cheatham was talking about having to come back out, this morning and do film session, and the guys couldn't even focus. Like, we're sitting here watching film on a regular season game, trying to scout an opponent, when we just figured out just how fleeting life can be. And so it's a really tough situation to deal with for everyone involved. And Fred Hoiberg, he knew Kobe on a personal level. I mean, he played against him in the Western Conference Finals and has a story about going out before a game one time. It was just him and Kobe on the floor, and just how much respect he had for Kobe Bryant as a player, a competitor, and a person. And so how these guys are able to compartmentalize, the loss of such an important person in their lives and in their careers, and try to focus on the task at hand of snapping a 5-game losing streak against a Michigan team that's desperate for a win and trying to keep their season afloat. That's a lot to ask, and I think anybody knows what this team's going to come out and look like. They could rally together and try and get that Kobe killer into them and play one of the best games, or you could see a lot of distraction out there. So it's kind of a big unknown. But it goes beyond Nebraska. It's going to be the same way for Michigan and basically anybody that plays basketball for the distant future here. So that is going to be a very interesting and certainly unfortunate storyline that we got to follow here.
Yeah, definitely an interesting component to this regular basketball season here. And so Michigan, as previously mentioned, 4-game losing streak, most recently suffered a loss to Illinois. And now they're coming into a PBA where Nebraska is just as desperate for a win. What do you expect to see out of them?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of a team that has been about as up and down as anybody, where they were one of the top teams in all of college basketball earlier in the year, and then they've lost 4 straight and 5 of their last 6, and for whatever reason they just haven't been able to click the way they were a couple months ago, and a lot of that has to do with injury. Isaiah Livers, their forward, has been out for a while. He's just now getting back into the lineup. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Xavier Simpson. There's some questions about maybe him facing a suspension, so he may or may not be available to play in this game, so we'll keep an eye on that, and obviously that's a big deal. He's one of the best point guards in all of college basketball, so I think they're kind of dealing with what a lot of teams at this point in the year are dealing with, where you're having to adjust to guys getting in and out of the lineup for injuries or whatever it may be, and sometimes you just hit a bit of a funk. And right now Michigan's in a funk, and unfortunately for Nebraska, they've proved to be the remedy for teams that are struggling far more often than they should. And so they need to be the ones that are more desperate. I mean, this is a very important game. You're at home against a big name opponent that is reeling right now, and you have the ability to get the crowd behind you. Like I said, it's going to be a 6 o'clock nationally televised game. They should have a lot of momentum on their side just from the home court, and being back home for just the second time, like 5 games. I think that this team feeds off that emotion so much that they have to be able to capitalize. And it's the same recipe as always. They got to start fast. They can't go through those lulls where they get into massive deficits, and they need to bring the defensive intensity from start to finish. And with any game, and especially a game like Michigan, if that happens and all those 3 things combined, you're going to see a good product as a result. But if they slip up in any of those aspects, you could be looking at another situation where a team that's struggling to do anything right suddenly plays Nebraska and all things are fixed. So that's it's on Nebraska far more than I think it is on Michigan.
Yeah, and so as multiple players have mentioned all throughout the season, they really just need to put together a full 40 minutes of basketball. Well, Nebraska returns home to PBA to play a 2-game home stretch, starting off against Michigan tomorrow night at 6 p.m., and the game will be nationally televised on ESPNU. Well, for Robin Washut, I'm Grace Harmon for HuskerOnline.com.